Isizigano. Oli mu kigezo? Kigezo?
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to today's online coaching in commercial pig farming. You all who have been able to keep time. We cannot have more than 100 people in the class. So it is very unfortunate that other members can't join us today. But you can go to YouTube and follow the presentation from there. For those who are on Facebook, I'm unable to project the presentation, but like I said, the presentation is available on YouTube. So you can choose to go to YouTube and follow whatever that is happening down here. My name is Christopher Mulindwa. I work with Prime Pork Uganda Limited. I am also a technical assistant for the New Science Concentrates here in East Africa. And I as well support genetics with the distribution and access to quality genetics here in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Rwanda, the East African region. I'm going to be a host today. Today we are going to be looking at pig feeding management. It's unfortunate that many people cannot join us. They are left out. We already reached the maximum number. We can only handle 100 participants. And I've been getting many people who are trying to ask me to make these trainings commercial. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to go into that. But if you feel like you want to contribute to the cause, and maybe we buy an option with many participants, I welcome you. My numbers are on mobile money, so you can feel free to donate whatever that you can donate towards the cause. But I'll not make it commercial. We have some support from the New Science, and so it is not that necessary. But probably we might need to enlarge the class so that we don't leave many people outside. Today we've left a lot of people outside who would have been part of this training. So today we are looking at pig feeding management. It's kind of a long presentation, but in case time doesn't allow us, we will break it into two and make sure that we handle the rest of the part next week. So today we will handle whatever that we are able to handle, and then we can leave the rest for next week. Okay. Friends of mine who are calling my phone, I request you not to, because it is busy, it is working, so I will not even be able to pick. So don't call. Okay. So if you remember, last week we tackled issues relating to planning, management, and we so much we took in fact 2 weeks looking at flowing and how somebody can plan stocking their pig farms. So I guess that these are things that you currently understand and you know what it entails in order for you to come up with the size of farm that you want to hold. I can't go into that again, but now we will start breaking down different sections in commercial pig farming that relates to management. Like I said, management is a huge topic, and we will surely be taking a lot of time on it to make sure that everything is properly understood. So we are now starting with the choice of feed ingredients. This is very important. The feed ingredients make up the feeds that we give to our pigs. It is what we join together. For example, you need the maize, you need the soybean, you need the concentrates, you need particular different feedstuffs in order for you to make a balanced diet for your pigs. So before you select the particular ingredients, the particular feedstuffs that you need to make a complete diet or a balanced diet for your pigs, these are some of the factors that you have to look at. Number one, you have to look at the availability. Is the feedstuff that you're choosing, the ingredient that you're choosing, easily accessible in your locality? This is, by the way, one of the reasons why we so much discourage using generic formulas. You pick a formula from the UK, you pick a formula from the Netherlands, and you think that that same formula will work for you. That's very dangerous, because the feedstuffs, the feed ingredients that are available in Netherlands might not be accessible in Uganda, or the feed ingredients that are available in central Uganda might not be accessible in northern Uganda. So we have to be very careful. You should look at the availability of these feedstuffs. Before you conclude, you're sure that you can access them, don't continue investing money, don't go ahead with investing money into formulation, because you might lose, you must waste that money. Another issue that you must keenly look at is the price. We have different feedstuffs. For example, you might be having the maize as a carbohydrate source. Maybe you have some other carbohydrate sources that are cheaper than maize, which can as well work perfectly, either like maize or a little like maize, or in combination with maize to come up with a very good diet for your pigs. So a combination of the two, if maize is extremely expensive, will cut down the cost if the other feedstuff is cheaper. So issues of price are very important. But of course, price should be compared with other issues that might affect either the usability of those feedstuffs or the accessibility or the nutritive value, which is the third point that we are going at. So the nutritive value, yes, it is another thing to have these feedstuffs available, And another thing to have these stuffs at reasonable prices, but their nutritive value is very important. So what are the percentage, the levels of nutrients that are available in these particular feedstuffs? Does it supply the necessary nutrients that you want? Sorry, I was muted. I hope you didn't miss a lot. I'll ask my co-host to always, when they mute, to unmute me, because I might forget that I'm muted. So yeah, let me go back a bit. I was talking about the nutritive value. For those on Facebook, sorry, for you have no problem, but the class on Zoom has issues because I have a co-host who is managing the noise in the room. So the nutritive value, you should look for feedstuffs of good nutritive value, feedstuffs that will supply the nutrients that your pigs need. It's another thing to have these feedstuffs at a lower price, or having these feedstuffs available. But if they are not giving the nutrients that your pigs need, then it doesn't make any sense. Limitation to use. There are feedstuffs that have toxins in them, or digestive inhibitors. So these are issues that you must look at. Some feedstuffs like soybean, if you're going to use it whole, you need to process it. Otherwise, it might not be usable by the pigs. They might not be able to completely utilize the protein in it because it contains digestive inhibitors. So the processing and storage. Let's talk about carbohydrate feedstuffs like maybe cassava, sweet potato, feedstuffs that are a little bulky and hard to process and hard to store. So these are issues that you have to look at, most especially if you're going to stock these feedstuffs for a longer period of time. The issue of palatability and digestibility is very important, because it doesn't make any sense for you to provide a feed to pigs and then they are unwilling to consume it. So it is better that you provide a feed that pigs are willing to consume, that are palatable to these animals so that they can enjoy it. So the access to feed ingredients. You have 3 options at your disposal, and these include growing the main feed ingredients on your farm. These may include maize and soybean. This is the cheapest way of accessing pig feeds. When you grow feeds, most especially the main ingredients, the maize and the soybean, you save a lot of money. You save a lot of money on pig nutrition. And you can cut the production costs to around 50% or even below. So growing your own feeds makes you, enables you make more money from your pig enterprise. You save more money, most especially if it is soy and maize. But remember that soy requires processing. So where efficient equipment are available, full-fat soybean is very hard to deal with. But where you have the equipment necessary to process soy, then you save a lot of money on feeds when you grow your own feed. Next option is to buy from middlemen. So again, when you buy from middlemen, you save some money. You save some money than those who are buying from retailers. Because all of this chain, people are aimed at making a profit. So if you don't buy maybe directly from the farmer, that would have been the second from growing your feed. But as we may know, farmers sometimes might not be able to supply you with the quantities they might not be able to supply you with the quantities that you need. And so you need to engage middlemen who goes to various farmers and bulk these ingredients and then be able to sell to you. So you buy from such people, again, you save some money, and those who buy from retailers. So those are the options that you have when you're planning to set up a pig enterprise. Or if you're already in the pig farming business, I guess you do understand what I'm talking about. But for those who are just planning to join the business, that is exactly what it means. You can either grow your own feeds on farm, and I assure you will save quite a lot of money. You can buy directly from farmers, which might not be feasible because they might not supply the quantities that you need. But you can engage middlemen, people who bulk these feeds, these feed ingredients from producers and buy from them. You'll be able to save money. If you choose to buy from retailers, somehow you'll spend a little more money. And if you are a large commercial, a big farmer, there is a possibility that your cost of production will be very high, because in a large commercial farm, even a decimal point excess in expenditure matters a lot. So if we looked at, we need to look at processing briefly. With maize, if you're growing your own maize on farm, or if you're engaging traders, the middlemen, to bulk for you maize, you need to crush this maize to about 500 to 700 microns. This is very important, and this is something that you must discuss with the maize miller, the person where you take this maize for milling. Or if you have your own machinery on farm, this is something for you to really pay attention to. You need to crush this maize to about 700 microns. If you're going to feed goats and cows, mature animals on farm, the reason is that you reduce on the chances of these pigs contracting ulcers. If you do find particles, they might lead to development of ulcers in mature pigs. So fine is not good in mature pigs, but it is very important for small pigs. For example, the weaners and growers. You need to crush the maize to about 500 microns. So these are issues that you should discuss with the person who is doing processing for you, or you must set your equipment to be able to give you these sizes of particles. Otherwise, for younger pigs, the digestion of these particles will be very difficult, and they might end up releasing them in feces, releasing the whole particles in feces. That means that you've not utilized the food that you gave to these pigs, and yet you spend money. You spend money on buying it. So it is very important that you make sure that these feeds are utilized optimally. So for the younger pigs, like I said, the digestive system cannot handle because so you have to grind them, crush them to about 500, particle sizes over 500 microns. And for grown-up pigs, the particle size of about 700 microns. So this big particles, like I sometimes see with some farmers crushing their maize to about 900, 1,000, 1,200 microns, is quite dangerous because even grown-up might not be able to digest these particles. So you must be careful. You must give pigs particles that are digestible, and you must be sensitive about the age of these piglets, of these pigs. Piglets cannot digest 2 course, and if they are grown up, giving them too fine particles will lead to development of ulcers. So another important issue to look at is on the full-fat soybeans. Like I said at the beginning, that somebody may choose to grow their own feedstuffs, their main feed ingredients on farm, like the soybeans, like the maize. So when you grow the soybeans, you have to make sure that these are properly processed. And if you don't have proper processing equipment, it is better that you use the de-oiled soybean, the soy cake that comes from oil manufacturing companies. The soy cake that this soy cake from oil manufacturing companies, go through a proper roasting. It is roasted at the required temperatures. And another advantage about the oiled soy cake is that it is dehulled. The hulls are removed. So its level of fiber is actually very low compared to the full-fat soybean. So in case you can access the oiled soy cake at a reasonable price, or if you're not planting, if you're not growing your own soybeans on farm, the oiled soy cake is the best option. So look out for the oiled soy cake because the advantages are more, because if you don't properly process this soy cake, so this soybean, you might end up giving a feed to your pigs that will not supply the protein that is necessary. And this will translate into poor growth. So it is important that if you're actually not growing your own soybeans on farm, you consider using soy cake. Also, the protein content in soy cake. The protein content in soy cake is a little more than the protein content in the full-fat soybeans. So those are issues that you have to consider. And if you want to use full-fat soybeans, please make sure that you have proper roasting, soy roasting machinery that will make it easier for you to give the right feed, a quality feed to your pigs. So mixing. When it comes to mixing, you must make sure that you achieve a uniform mixture. There is a tendency, most especially with people who are using spades. People who are using spades tend to work with a lot of feeds at a given time. When you work with a lot of feeds at a given time, it becomes very difficult. Even these guys who are mixing the feeds will find it difficult. They will get tired and try to compromise the activity. And this will lead to a scanted distribution of these nutrients. So some pigs will receive highly nutritious portion of feeds, and some pigs will receive less nutritious portion of feeds. The disadvantage with this is that you will not achieve uniform growth. You will not achieve uniform growth. And when you don't achieve uniform growth, it means that you're going to have variations in carcass weights when you go to the market. So it is very important that you you come up with a uniform mixture of the ingredients. And if you're a large farmer, you're working with a lot of feed, you have very many pigs on your farm, most especially farmers who are keeping 10,000 above, it is not expensive for you to invest in a mixer. It is better that you invest in a feed mixer so that you have a thorough mixture, so that you uniformly mix your feeds and you allow your pigs to access a quality feed that is very well balanced in the distribution of the nutrients. So after that, we need to talk about mycotoxins. What are the causes of these mycotoxins? Mycotoxins are released during growth of fungi. And these mycotoxins are of different types. In Uganda, commonly talked about are aflatoxins, but there are other types of mycotoxins. And when we're talking about mycotoxins, these are also produced by different types of fungi. So mycotoxin is a profit thief. For those who have read my book, Farming Pigs for Money, I guess you've really understood that. Mycotoxins are a profit thief. And it's a silent thief. It's not very obvious. It's very hard to diagnose mycotoxicosis on farm. And so it is complicated for you to really establish whether you are at risk or not at risk until the effects of these toxins are visible in your pigs on farm. So you have to be conscious about this. Mycotoxins happen in our feeds through our pigs ingesting mycotoxin-burdened feeds. And these are feeds that we stock. So if you stock molded feeds, all feed stuffs, you're likely to supply mycotoxins into your pigs. And like we will be seeing later, these are very dangerous substances if they enter into the pig bodies, not only the pig bodies, but also human bodies too. It's a very important debate in the world today. And here in Uganda, Kenya once banned our maize from going to their market because of mycotoxin issues. So mycotoxin is a huge debate, and it is also a very important debate in animal production. People who are using concrete feedstuffs, most especially feedstuffs that are very close, the trough for water is very close to the trough for feeds. The pig eats the feeds and then go drink water. Then at the end of the day, mix water with the feeds. So what happens is that if these feeds are not finished, later they mold, okay? So usually when new farmers bring the new feeds, you just top up on what was left in the trough. So if these feeds are already molded, it means that there is a possibility that mycotoxins have already been released into those feeds. Okay, and once these pigs ingest the feeds together with the newer feeds that you've added, they ingest those toxins, and those toxins are dangerous, like we'll be seeing later. So another entry point for these mycotoxins into our pigs is farmers who are doing liquid feeding. Farmers who are mixing water with the feeds. I hear people giving excuses, of course, different excuses, that they mix water with feeds in order to enable their pigs drink more water. I guess this is an excuse. Pigs will drink water, whether you mixed it with the feeds or, it's not mixed with the feeds. All you have to do is to provide clean and fresh water to these pigs. Don't provide water that is mixed with the soap, mixed with the salt. Somebody was asking me yesterday whether it is right to mix water with the salt. When you mix salt in water, it ceases to be water. It becomes something else, saline water. So you have to provide clean and fresh water to these pigs. If you're not using modern feed troughs, don't try liquid feeding, because even the cleaning of these troughs will never be thorough. So there is no way you can get rid of or protect your pigs from ingesting mycotoxins. So those two practices are quite dangerous. People who are mixing reject bread in pig feeds. And I saw this question today. I don't know whether it was on a WhatsApp group or on Facebook, but one of the social media platforms that I subscribe to, the pig platforms, somebody asked whether it is right to feed rejected bread to pigs. It would have been okay if you're buying real bread and you're feeding it to pigs. Unfortunately, it is very expensive. The reason why these bakeries are giving you this bread at a very cheaper price is because this is spoiled bread. Okay, this is spoiled bread. And spoiled means it is molded bread. Usually it is molded bread, bread that is not fit for human consumption. If it were fit for human consumption, these bakeries would have gone ahead to make some money from this bread. But because it is unfit for human consumption, then they tend to dump it in livestock farmers. So for you, a farmer who is attending this coaching today, you must not associate your pigs with rejected bread. Rejected bread is always molded. And usually the reason for rejection is mold. So these molds will introduce mycotoxins into your farm, and your pigs will land into issues. Your farm performance will decrease, and many other disadvantages like we will be discussing later. Again, I come to people who are using brewer's waste. Brewer's waste is another risky feedstuff because it is very hard to store it. It is very hard to store due to its high moisture content. It is very high in the moisture and therefore very difficult to store. If you're going to use it fresh from the beer industry, like they released it yesterday, you use it maybe in 1 or 2 days without storing it. Maybe that makes sense. But if you're planning to keep this brewer's waste to store it on your farm. Like I see some farmers that have visited do. You dig a ditch and put a polythene, then put the brewer's waste there. Then that thing gets mold. Then you keep feeding it to your pigs. Okay? So it introduces the same disadvantages that these other moldy feeds that we just talked about introduce into your herd. So it is important that you take caution when you think about feeding brewer's waste. Brewer's waste would have been a very good feed budget cutting strategy because it can work as a supplement. You know, it can supplement the commercial feeds or any other feeding strategy that you're using on your farm, but they are risky feeds due to the threats of mycotoxins. Issues on sweet silage, which is also a very important feed, important supplement, most especially to the reproductive herd. Sweet potato silage, if not well handled, can easily go moldy. And if you don't process it rightly, like if you don't store it in absence of oxygen, 100% absence of oxygen, there is a risk that the feed can go moldy. When this feed goes moldy, the risk is that the pigs that you're feeding it to will ingest mycotoxins and then lead you into the same problems that we are yet to discuss. But it is a good feed stuff. It's a good supplement. If you're using commercial feeds, it's a fallback position for you, but you must handle it properly. The poor storage of feeds and the ingredients. Sometimes we want to beat price fluctuations, and then we end up storing, buying maize in bulk. But we don't take chance, maize and maize bran in bulk, but we don't take an initiative to dry this maize properly. If this maize has, if the batch of maize that you've stocked has a high moisture content, it means that there are high chances of this maize going moldy. And like we said, that the growth of mold lead to release of mycotoxins. And these mycotoxins are dangerous when they get into the pig bodies. So you must properly dry your maize, and you must properly dry the maize bran. Because during the process of processing of this maize, there is where water is added. So this maize bran comes out of the milling machine or the manufacturing company, the milling company, with a very high moisture. And this moisture will as well lead to molding. So when you choose to stock maize bran in bulk, you should make sure that it is properly dried. Otherwise, there will be very serious issues to your pigs. Issues related to mycotoxicosis, like we'll see later. Okay, so the effects of mycotoxicosis. Mycotoxicosis is a condition. We can regard it as a disease, in fact, but which is very difficult to diagnose. The symptoms can be suggestive but hardly lead you to a conclusion. So we have to really avoid it. Maybe we cannot get rid of it 100%, but we should keep it in very small quantities. Like the amount ingested by your pigs must be very minute, that they can't cause side effects on your animals, on the productivity of your pigs. It depends. It depends on the level of mycotoxins that is ingested for you to experience the side effects of mycotoxicosis. So you must work on reducing the levels of these toxins in your feeds as much as you can. So what happens with the sows? By the way, mycotoxins so much disturb the reproductive herd, though it also leads to troubles in the commercial herd, but they so much disturb the reproductive herd. And how does it do it in the reproductive herd? Let's talk about the sows. In sows, one of the indicators of mycotoxicosis in your sows is abortions. Though these abortions can as well be caused by reproductive infections, for example, parvovirus, but it can as well be caused by mycotoxicosis. So you vaccinate your sows, but you still experience challenges of abortions on your farm. So there is a possibility that mycotoxicosis is disturbing your farm, and you really need to work on it. Another issue in sows is agalactia. Still, this can be caused by other factors. For example, it can be caused by poor nutrition. It can be caused by poor health. Agalactia is no milk. Failure of the sow to release milk for its young ones, for their young ones, or its young ones to feed on. And here you experience mortalities. You go into costs of hand feeding, which at the end of the day becomes very expensive. So issues of agalactia can as well be caused by mycotoxins, can be caused by mycotoxicosis. The issues that you must work on. I'm hearing some noise in the background. I don't know whether my co-host. Okay, so the pseudopregnancies, you get your, but this is also very common in pubertal gilts. I forgot to mention it down here in the pubertal gilts. It is a very common factor that is caused by mycotoxicosis. The pseudopregnancies, you give your sow, you give the boar to your sow, you see it being mounted, then you keep expecting, thinking that this sow is actually pregnant, but when it is not pregnant, because these mycotoxins interfere with the hormones in the pig body, and then implantation might not happen. So sometimes these pigs might develop a big belly, which is also a factor of mycotoxins. And then you think that actually your sow is pregnant. You keep waiting. I've had many complaints. You keep waiting, but in vain, the pig will not produce, and it will not show any heat signs. So you're likely to be experiencing the issue of mycotoxins. Your pigs are already suffering from mycotoxicosis. and you'll need to take action. So, pubertal gilts. You see the reddening of the vulva. This is a very young piglet. For those who are who are on Zoom, you can see that picture. And those on YouTube, you can see the picture. This pig is very young. You see that the vulva is already reddening. So this is majorly caused by mycotoxicity. There is somebody, if I remember very well, from Luzira who called me, telling me that his 3-month piglets are on heat. It is quite discouraging, but those pigs are not on heat. There is a high possibility that your herd is suffering from mycotoxicosis, and you really need to take action. You need to check the feeds that you're giving your pigs. Somewhere, somehow, there must be a problem. Otherwise, younger gilts, pubertal gilts, will never show signs of heat, except under issues related to mycotoxicosis. There's also an issue of poor weight gain. You see these pigs that are on heat are having a very poor weight. They don't grow well. Their development, body development is very lower. So there is a possibility that your herd is suffering from mycotoxicosis. So in the pubertal gilts, remember we talked about bow exposure, is it? No, we haven't. We are going to be talking about it in the session on breeding. But you have worked on your sow. Maybe you've administered artificial hormones to synchronize heat, or you have done bow exposure, okay? And then you start seeing variations in the length of the estrus cycle. The pig came on heat, comes on heat maybe ever after 20 days. And then you're seeing a lengthened cycle. This day, probably it misses a month and comes back on heat the other month. There are higher chances that your herd is suffering from mycotoxicosis, and you must take caution. Come, please, you're writing in the presentation, and please don't do that again. Otherwise, we will remove you, because we don't want to. We don't want you to disorganize activity. So please don't do that again. The pubertal gilts also experience heat repeats. You inseminate the gilts, but they again come back on heat. The same trouble that happens in sows, it all happens in pubertal gilts. So these are issues that you have to really pay attention to. So in the commercial herd, you majorly experience poor growth. Technocam, we are likely to remove you from this training if you don't stop writing in the presentation, please. You will force us to remove you, so please, that is the last warning. So in the commercial herd, you will experience poor growth. You will experience poor growth. And you know what poor growth means to every commercial farmer. It means that you're going to delay going to the market. And once you delay going to the market, it means that you're going to waste a lot of money, which money you might not even recover. So it is very detrimental if your growth is not, if your growth is not good. Okay. Okay. So we check on the types of feeding strategies. What are those feeding strategies that are available to every commercial pig farmer in this world? Okay, to a Ugandan pig farmer, a Kenyan pig farmer, and a pig farmer, wherever you are, attending this class from. So there is what we call the improvised feeding. I'm seeing a question on Facebook. On Zoom in class about the sweet potato silage. Okay, maybe we'll handle that in the improvised feeding. I will have a session on that and discuss that in detail. So improvised feeding. In pig farming, the only improvised feeding that is relatively allowed, that is allowed in fact, would be the use of sweet potato silage. So you make the sweet potato silage if you made it properly and you stored it properly. If it is not molded, it can actually supplement the reproductive herd diets. Supplementing, I mean that you can't 100% rely on it, but you can use it alongside the other feedstuffs or the complete feed, the feed that you've made, the feeds that you've made on your farm, to cut your feeding budget. But it is more better for you to feed the sweet potato silage to your commercial herd, to your reproductive herd. But you must make sure that this silage is not molded, because if it is molded, then you're going to experience the challenges that we just talked about, the challenges of mycotoxicosis. So in improvised feeding, you'll not see anybody, okay, you'll not see me, maybe others will do, recommending the feed of kitchen waste, hotel remains. And why don't we recommend this? We don't recommend that because these can be very risky. They can be a source. They can act as a source for African swine fever virus to enter, as a channel for the virus to enter into your farm. For example, feeds that are picked from hotels. You don't know who was there. You don't know whether they were at a pork joint, whether they had to throw some pork remains in the feed. Then you pick those feeds and you take them to your pigs. If they contain pork remains of pigs coming from pigs that were infected with African swine fever, you're sure that your pigs will as well get infected with African swine fever. So this is very important, and it's not recommended for any commercial farmer to use hotel remains. It is not recommended. And they can also act as a source of mycotoxins, because if you're not feeding them fresh, then they will rot. They will get mold. And what happens in return is the release of mycotoxins, and then you will be in very serious issues. This is what happens with the sweet potato silage making. For you on Facebook, I told you that you can view the presentation from YouTube. You can just look for Christopher Mulindwa. I'm broadcasting it from my personal channel. So this is what happens. You get the sweet potato vines, chop it into smaller particles, like you can see in the picture here. Chop it into smaller particles, make tubes. This can damp cause polythene. You tie the other end, put the pieces that you've cut into the tubes, compact very well to make sure that you close every airspace, and then tie tightly to make sure that oxygen doesn't penetrate into the tubes, like you're seeing these guys doing. And then keep for some time, maybe 30 days, and then start feeding. Once you open this tube, you should not feed it for more than 5 days. Otherwise, there is a risk that you feed moldy silage, because once you open it, it is exposed to oxygen and other factors necessary for mold to grow, for fungi to grow. And therefore, that can cause you issues of mycotoxicosis into the farm. Okay. So the other feeding strategy, but anyway, for smallholders, for people who are not so much focused on business, there's no problem. There's no problem. You can choose to use the sweet potato silage with a little supplementation. But that's when you're not so much focused on business. Unfortunately, today I'm focusing on people who are doing commercial pig farming, who are doing pig farming to make money. The complete feeds. Complete feeds are commercial feeds. The feeds that are bought from the manufacturer when they are ready for the pig to eat. The sow and the sow diets, the sow meal, the boar meal, the Gutrella meal, the starter meal, the grower meal. They are got from the manufacturer, from the feed industry, when they are ready for the pigs to eat. Okay, so these feeds are very good because they are well mixed. These guys use machinery, so you're sure that the nutrients are well distributed. The ingredients were uniformly mixed. But the disadvantage is that these feeds are actually very expensive. And if your scale is not too huge, you're likely not to make money from the pigs. So it is an expensive feeding strategy that we sometimes only recommend for delicate stages, and most especially the weaning, the starter, the pre-starter diets, the quick feed, and sometimes the starter diets. So it is an expensive feeding strategy that if you want to go into, your scale must be big enough. If it is not big enough, there is a risk of not making money from your enterprise. Farm-made feeds. Farm-made feeds are the cheapest feeding strategy, but of course also challenged in some ways. Most especially the lack of proper machinery to do the processing of feed ingredients is a huge challenge. The making of feeds from the farm. It is also challenged by selection. Sometimes the selection of feeds is not proper, and so a farmer selects moldy feeds. If they don't select moldy feeds, they select feedstuffs that are not good for the supply of the nutrients that the pigs require to grow well. So, but it is the most ideal feeding strategy for any pig farmer who is looking at saving money feeding pigs. This feeding strategy involves the formulations. Like I said, you don't need to use generic formulas. You need to find a formula that is fit for your farm. If that formula is not fit for your farm, then there is a risk that either the feed will be very expensive or it will not supply the necessary nutrients that is required for your pigs to grow well. Okay. Okay. So feed formulation. Feed formulation is a very important topic. Unfortunately, in Uganda, almost every feed stockist is an expert in feed formulation. But I want to caution you, the pig farmer who is attending today's class, that feed formulation is a technical activity that involves science and analysis. Somebody has to establish that the feed ingredients that are going to be used in the formulation of a particular feed have the necessary ingredients at the required levels to make the feed that is needed. So feed formulation is not an activity that you can just try out. It's an activity that you should involve an expert, and also coming up with a working feed is not a privilege of everybody, be it an expert in this case. So you must engage different options, and you should always be on the lookout for information to make sure that you come up with a formula that is working for your farm, but also profitable in your situation. The formula, a good formula must be working, must perform, the pigs must grow as expected, but the formula should also be profitable. You should not just enjoy seeing the pigs growing well, but when you go to the market, they can't fetch the money that is injected into them. So feed formulation depends on the production objectives of the farm. What do you intend to achieve? And this is why I always advise people who are not completely relying on commercial feeds to choose where they belong, because you cannot mix up. Today you give sweet potato vines, tomorrow you buy commercial feeds. You go on alternating the diets. You give a poor diet, then tomorrow you give a good diet. The challenge of this is that you spend money, and money that might not be recovered from the pigs. If you choose to feed pigs on proper diets, make sure that you follow, you do that. You follow the trend. You give a proper diet. If you choose to feed them on an improvised diet, just follow that trend. Otherwise, you might not profit from the activity. Okay? So the production objectives are very important. For example, when do you want to go to the market? Which weights do you want to achieve? So such objectives, which kind of quality, the quality of meat that you're targeting at producing. So such objectives must determine the kind of formula that you need for your farm. And what are the prices for these different ingredients that you are trying to combine in order to come up with a balanced diet? Feed formulation also depends on the reproductive stages of the pigs. Reproductive stages, I mean, some pigs are dry, they have weaned off their piglets. Some pigs are gestating, they are still feeding piglets in their womb. Some pigs are lactating, some are still gilts. So all those are different reproductive stages. And these stages, for example, the lactating sow will require different nutrients from those that are required by a gestating sow, from those that are required by a dry sow. So these are also issues to look at. Don't use one formula for everything that you have on farm, because the nutritive requirement, the nutrient requirement, the levels of nutrients required by these different groups of animals are different. And if you impose one type of feed on all the categories, you will not achieve the performance that you need to achieve. So feed formulation also depends on the stage of growth, okay? Mainly in the commercial herd. We have the piglets, which are supposed to be fed on the creep feed. We have the weaners, which are supposed to be fed on the starter meal. We have the growers, which are supposed to be fed on the grower meal. And we have the finishers, which are supposed to be fed on the finisher meal. Also, the price, the cost of these feeds differs from creep feed to finisher. The feed cost goes on decreasing. From creep feed, it is expensive when you're buying creep feed, and it is more cheaper when you're buying the finisher feed, or when you're making the finisher feed. Okay? So those are issues that you really have to familiarize yourself with. So two main categories of feed formulas are available. Okay? We have the reproductive herd formulations and the commercial herd formulations. Like we've seen above, we have the reproductive herd, the formulation has to depend on the reproductive stage and the stage of growth. So the stage of growth here goes under the commercial herd formulations, and the stages of reproduction goes into the reproductive herd formulations. I think our time is fast spent. We have 15 minutes remaining, and I want to attend to some questions. I think we are going to be starting from here next week. We still have quite a lot to cover in the feeding management. So we will be starting from here next Saturday. So next Saturday, we'll repeat this same topic, and I hope we will be concluding it with questions. So at this moment, I will allow you put up your hand, and I will select you to ask questions. I don't want us to have very many questions, maybe five people who are putting up their hands. Then I attend to some questions in the chat, and also a few questions. I think for participants on YouTube and Facebook, I'll come and just answer. Sorry about that. For participants on Facebook and YouTube, I will not tackle your questions, but I will come and comment. I'll come and comment. I'll come and comment in and answer to your questions as comments. So let's start with people in the classroom, the people who are attending the Zoom meeting. And I have 3 hands up already. If there are more too, I'll take those as well. We'll have one more. We'll have one more if there is anybody. So if you're over, then we'll take these 4. Okay, I'm not going to add. Is there anybody? 5. Okay, we stop there. We already have the 5. So I'm not going to take any more questions. I'm taking questions from these 5 people. From Mr. Lutuama George. Oh, Mr. Lutuama, we met yesterday. Daniel Ross. I don't know whether you're a Mrs. or a Mr.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Lutuama, please go ahead.
I have a question. You talked about mycotoxicity. You talked about abortions. And there are 2 types, abortion, type 1, caused by infection. But I talked of a virus, we talked of a virus that comes as a result of an abortion, as these foods are fed on fungus foods. So what is that infection, sir?
Sorry, my speaker was low on volume. I request you to ask the question again.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just request you to ask the question again because my volume was very low.
You say that by letting this animal to feed on this fungus food, the birds that spoiled birds we get from bakeries, they cause abortion. And we talked of another infection that cause abortion to this animal. What is that infection? And what is that virus? Okay,
there are quite many. It is not one. There is virus, leptospirosis. So I can send you some of the likely causes of abortion in pigs. But those are the viruses, and good enough, there are vaccines to vaccinate against those viruses. Hope you answered, Mr. Lutuama. So let's go to Daniel Ross. Daniel, are you there? Okay, maybe Daniel is not there.
I'm there. Good evening, Mr. Mulindra.
Good evening. How are you, Daniel?
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
Fine.
You are wondering whether I am male or female.
Now I know.
Now you know. We've interacted on several platforms, including voice calls. We have only not met face to face.
Okay.
Yes. I remember we had. Yeah. Thank you very much for taking us through these lessons. The coaching session is so wonderful. I've always followed from start on Facebook here and also engaging you on WhatsApp. I have one pending issue with you on WhatsApp, but that's the issue of using the whole meal soybean for mixing the new science concentrate. I'm still waiting for my answer because I'm a farmer. I have my own soybeans. Why should I go to other people processing oil to buy? So I'm waiting for a feedback on how I can mix my new science concentrate using the whole meal soybeans. Then 2, can I use only maize bran? Only broken maize without bran for mixing my finisher's feed? is it okay for me to use only broken maize without adding bran to it? And then 3, you talked about brewer's waste being okay, maybe for supplement as long as it's fresh. What nutritive value does it add to my feeds? Because I can easily access it very cheaply. Can I supplement my commercial feed with it? And what nutritive value do I benefit from it? Fourthly, I will request you to comment on toxin binders, because we have who are selling toxin binders. How effective are they in binding the toxins in case of mycotoxicosis? And then I think you talked about sweet potato silage being
asked
good.
very many questions, and I've been keeping them in my head. So maybe let me first handle those.
I thought you're writing them down.
I'm not writing. I don't know whether I can get a pen, but there are very many questions. I think let me attend to those.
Okay.
Then we can keep the rest for next week, since we are almost handling the same issue.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to request you to repeat, so that I've just accessed the pen and yeah.
Okay, my first question is.
Yeah, the use of whole soy,
yes,
full fat soy.
Full fat soy, I mean soy meal, and I'm mixing my meals, especially the new 5% new science concentrate. And then my second question is on the use of only broken maize without using bran. What can you advise me on that? The other one is the third one, what nutritive value do I get from the brewer's waste, since I can easily access it? Does it add, if I can use it to supplement my commercial feeds? And then the fourth one is on toxin binders. We have toxin binders being sold on the market. How effective are they in preventing or averting mycotoxicosis? And you requested me to stop there.
Okay, yeah, let's have those 4, please. Yeah? So
Okay,
that we don't take a lot of time. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Yes.
So let me start with the issue of the full fat soybean. We have been very reluctant with the use of full fat soybean, because many farmers cannot find proper ways of processing these soybeans, and they end up with a diet that is not good. So we always want to engage somebody who has already invested in proper processing equipment. Because once this is not available, even though we came up with ways of you using it with the concentrate, still there is a possibility that the performance will be poor. And once the performance is poor, it's not good. You will not get value for money. So that's why we are a little hesitant. But if we engaged and there is assurance of proper processing, we can go ahead and see how to handle that issue. On the use of broken maize only, yes. I'm answering this, but this is also was part of this presentation. It was part of something that we had to talk about. The use of maize only is okay with the commercial herd, but it is quite challenging with the reproductive herd. Why is it challenging with the reproductive herd? In the reproductive herd, we feed with an objective of keeping sows in their right shape. We feed for reproduction in general. So we want these sows to be at the right body condition score, and these sows to be able to produce as they must produce. So we don't want too much weight gain, and we don't want too much depreciation in the weight. So that brings us to a very difficult situation. Because maize is very high in energy, when you feed it only to your reproductive herd, there are higher chances that these sows will grow over fatty. And when they grow too fat, their fertility will be so much disturbed. So we a little hesitant with recommending the use of maize only in the reproductive herd due to those issues that I just mentioned. But in the commercial herd, where you're feeding for weight gain, this is no problem. Most especially if you're selling your pigs earlier, 24, 28 weeks, mainly 24 weeks, or even less, there is no problem with using maize only, but the diet must be very well balanced. And also, you should mind about the quantities that these pigs ingest, though at that level, we don't want to really keep these animals off the feed. We want to feed them ad libitum, like they eat at will. But there is no much challenge. In the reproductive herd, we add maize bran, first of all, to cut the nutritive value, the energy value of the final feed, but also to supply fiber. When you use maize only, there is no source of fiber, and fiber is so much necessary in the reproductive herd. It might not be so much of a case in the commercial herd, but it is so much required in the reproductive. It's so much required in the reproductive herd. So I can provide you with formulas for the commercial herd. Don't use the normal formulas for new science. I can provide you with other formulations that you can use if you intend to use maize only to make your feeds for the commercial herd. Commercial herd, I mean the growers and the finishers. We are now recommending that you make your grower and finisher feeds with the pig 5% concentrate. It's more cheaper for you, for those who are in Uganda and Nairobi, Kenya, who can access the concentrates. People in Tanzania, you're yet to access the concentrates, and those in other East African countries. The third question on the nutritive value of brewer's waste. This is also something that I don't preach myself. I'm not telling you that you have to use brewer's waste because I know the challenges that can come with it. But you can do some more research. This I'm leaving it to you to do some more studies. But if you choose to use brewer's waste to supplement the diets on the farm, it should be used in the first few days, maybe 1 to 2 days after being ejected from the beer manufacturing company. Otherwise, it will cause trouble to your herd. And do not feed brewer's waste to your commercial herd. Do not supplement it to your commercial herd, because when you check, like I said, you do some research, you will see that its nutritive value is not that good for you to depend on for your commercial herd. For the commercial herd, we feed for performance. We want these pigs to grow as fast as possible so that we can put them to market as soon as possible. So issues of supplementation only work in the reproductive herd. Just in case these effects do not supply disease risk to our sows, goats, or boys. The fourth question, which is on toxin binders and their effectiveness, we always request, I always request that you don't wait for toxins to happen in your feed. Even when you trust the quality of the feeds, it is better to mix a toxin binder because you don't know. You were not there in the garden when this maize was being harvested. So you're not sure whether the maize is free from mold or not. So even though it is clean, it is better to add a toxin binder so that you're safe. You're safe at a given percentage. So I will not talk about the efficacy of these toxin binders. All I can say is that for those who are using the new science concentrates, they come with toxin binders added. So there is not much need for worry. But if you're not using the new science concentrates yet, you have to look for toxin binders and look for those that are effective and make sure that they are thoroughly mixed in the feeds. I hope I answered you. What I didn't answer, I give it to you as research. As if the questions are increasing, but let's take this four. Mr. Aliho Joshua, please go ahead and ask your question. So we will have Mr. Aliho Joshua, NR, you go next. Mr. Chiaga Charles Joel, you go next. And Mr. Silva Ojagole, you go last. So it is only those people I've mentioned to ask questions. Please, we don't have time, and so we will attend to your questions next time. So let's go to Mr. Aliho Joshua.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Molinga. I'm happy to join this session. And my question would be, I'm a student at the Bucharest Agricultural College, and I'm interested in pig production. Like during our intern placement, we are always encouraged to go to some productive farms, and I would like to be part of you at one time. Do I have any opportunity? Thank you.
Mr. Aliho, to be sincere, I didn't get your question. I don't know, can you put it in the messages, in the chat?
I'm saying I'm so happy to be part of you, and I'm a student at Bucharest Agricultural College. And sometimes we are supposed to have some intern placement, and I would like to be part of you at some time. Do I have an opportunity? Thank you.
Okay, please. You can contact me, Joshua, privately. I guess you have my telephone number. You can reach out to me. We can discuss about that. So don't hesitate. We can talk and we'll see what to do.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Chiaga.
Good evening, Mr. Molindo.
Good evening, sir.
My question is, where can I get your already prepared feeds?
That's a hard one, Mr. Chiaga, but all we can do is to support you to make this feed on your farm. We can provide the concentrates, then you make the feed on your farm. We can support on that. I can even see how to travel to your farm if your farm people need some assistance to be able to work with the concentrates properly. So we can always talk and see how possible to handle that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. The next one, please.
Yes, please. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. This is Silva.
Yes,
Ojangole. I'm live in from Tororo. But mine is not a question, but a simple bit of request. I know, like, I got the to log in but only what I could see is that the meeting had reached a maximum number of people. So I would request that maybe in the next meeting we try creating in a meeting that could accommodate a number, because there are some of them also who have missed. That is my major request. And then also, I would also want to know, because I'm based in Mbale, how can I be able to get those concentrates? So,
Okay, thank you very much, Silva, for that concern. Like
where
I
can you
said,
direct me to pick them?
Spark, stop writing on the presentation. I don't know what's wrong with some of our friends. Thank you, Silva, for that comment. I don't do it out of will, but like I said, we will see how to handle this, but also don't hesitate. If you want to be part of it, we just need to buy a package that can accommodate many participants, and that is quite expensive. So those numbers of mine are registered with mobile money. Don't hesitate if you want to be part of the initiative. We can share the cost and have a larger class created. But as of now, that is the far we can go. We can only handle 100 participants per training. I know very many are left out, and that's why I'm live on YouTube and Facebook, just to cover up the gaps. On the side, on the concentrates, unfortunately, we don't have a supplier in Mbale yet, but we are trying to develop an agent in that region, the eastern region. But we can send you the concentrates via bus, all trucks from Kampala. So those are my numbers. Both numbers are on WhatsApp. MTN is my personal number. You can WhatsApp me and we can see how to handle that. Hope I answered you, Silva.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. Next, please. I think you're the last one. I see people keep on putting up their hands and, let's take this last one. First, you will ask your questions during the next session. It's on the same thing. So you can keep your question and you ask it next Saturday. Thank you very much. Let's listen to the next person and end this so that I take the messages and then we call it a day. Yes, please. Ba?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mlindwa, for the presentation. We are grateful that you're able to share knowledge with us. My question is about mycotoxins that you addressed today in today's presentation. How do we store feeds without encountering this problem? What technologies can farmers use to store feeds and still be able to avoid this? Any suggestions you think? Because as you know, at the end of the season, for example, if you look at maize, even on the farm, you're able to, if you grow your own maize, how do you store it? And then if you purchase, because the price, you want to take advantage of the price, of the raw prices at the end of the season. You buy in bulk and store. How do we go about that? We'll be grateful.
Thank you very much. Though I didn't get your name.
I'm Ronald.
Okay, Ronald. Thank you, Ronald. And Ronald asked the final question. So the issue of mycotoxins is a complex one. And you really need to be very careful, because you might do whatever it takes, but the farmer, the person who is doing the harvesting, or the traders who are doing the trading of this maize fail to handle the maize in the right way possible. So the most important thing is that you must make sure that this maize is properly dried before it is stored. That is very, very important. If you buy maize in bulk, make sure that you re-dry it to make sure that it is properly, efficiently dried before it is packaged and stored. Then you have to make sure that this maize is stored in a damp-free place, damp-free store. A store that is leaking is very dangerous. And do not put the maize down on the floor, most especially on cemented floors, because somehow it can get moist. Same applies to maize bran. Even maize bran, after getting it from the machine, make sure that you dry it to ensure that it is properly dry. Its moisture content is very low. Also, mix your feeds with a toxin binder. Mix your feeds with a toxin binder. If you're using the new science concentrates, the toxin binders are pre-added. But if you're yet to use them, then try to locate a toxin binder on market. Now I will attend to a few messages in the chat. Let me see here. Okay, hope the sound finally got okay. I can see people complaining of the sound, but I hope it finally got okay. How do we store feeds without suffering this? I think I've just answered that. Oh, from the same person. For the sweet potato silage, is it the actual tubers or the vines? It is the tubers mixed with the vines. Next Saturday, next presentation, I will send you a link to where you can download a manual on sweet potato silage developed by SIPA and International Livestock Research Institute. So it will be helpful. I'll provide the link next Saturday. What if you recook the hotel remains? You know, contamination is very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I believe you've seen people who have been so keen with keeping the soaps for the coronavirus, but they end up infected. So contamination is a very difficult thing. It is better that you just keep away from anything that will contaminate your farm, that might introduce African swine fever in your farm. So the issue of recooking the hotel remains might as well be risky. Do we add molasses to the silage? This, of course, increase the moisture content and might lead to trouble. So I'll send you a manual, a link for you to download the manual. It is free from International Potato Center and International Livestock Research Institute. So next Saturday, during our last session on feed management, I'll be sending you that. Can you kindly explain about how to use the new science concentrates? I bought some few bags ago and I sent them to my farm after a few days. My mom told me that the feeds were done, and this brings about the question, these concentrates mixed in maize bran, and if yes, what quantity in which? Oh, some, please, I request you to WhatsApp me I'm sharing my number in the talk about this. We were supposed to talk about it today a little bit, but time couldn't allow us. So let's talk so that this issue is solved for once and for all. So in the chat, I've put my number. Yeah, Joseph, I will inform Dominic for an outlet in Thinker, Kenya. For those who want to be added to the New Science WhatsApp groups, I think you WhatsApp me. Okay, good evening, Christopher. Thank you so much. Kindly add me to the Pigari WhatsApp. Please WhatsApp me. Okay, WhatsApp me. Manual on today's presentation. I'll share the presentation next week. I'll share the presentation next week after I've completed everything. You just send me an email on my mail address requesting for it. I'll be sharing it. Sorry we didn't record this session, but it is available on YouTube. You can go look for my channel, Christopher Mulindwa. You'll be able to listen to the recording. Otherwise, for viewers on Facebook and YouTube, I'll attend to your questions before end of the day tomorrow. I'll be replying to whatever that you asked. I thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for taking part in this coaching session. I can see that the session is really becoming very important with the participation of over 50 people on Facebook and 100 people in class on Zoom. It means that they are really very important classes. And let me hope that we are using the knowledge that we are gathering to better our production systems and for production and marketing systems, for increased profitability in our pig farming businesses. Thank you so much for taking part in this one. I wish you a nice weekend. See you next Saturday, 5 p.m. When we shall do the continuation on this same topic. May the Almighty keep you safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris, and everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody who has attended. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chris. Bye.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for attending.